Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the EClub of District 5190 for our monthly regular meeting. It's Wednesday, June the 14th, 2023, and this is the last official meeting I'll be presiding over because next month our president will be Linda Booty, and there she is right there. Hi, Linda. An immediate, almost not so immediate, past President Bob. Hi. And our assistant governor, Nora Stevens, is taking care of something else. So what we're going to do now is I will give you a little report on the International Convention in Melbourne, Australia. I made some videos and I'll send it out to everybody along with this video presentation of the meeting, but we're going to go through and do this as a gallery. This is on a Mac. So when you got to Melbourne, they have a convention center, and then they needed a very large auditorium for the 30,000 or so people. So they're using the Rod Laver Arena, where they have the big tennis matches there for Australia. So that was interesting. Anyway, this is walking in the door. And this was this lady who welcomed everybody. And she was so vivacious. You can see the sign in the background with the welcome. They had restaurants and eating stations and food trucks everywhere. They were set. In fact, as I went around town, there was advertising Welcome Rotary all over the place. You just wouldn't believe it. A lot of them in rotating signs that had other advertising, but for 15 seconds you saw Welcome Rotarians, and that really made you feel good. Where they have all the displays for the various organizations and clubs and the fellowships and other things that Rotary has, they call it the House of Friendship. These are just some Rotarians taking their picture in front of it. You go through these double doors, and it was giant, wall-to-wall booths of everything. You can see they have a lot of Rotary fellowships. Most of us are familiar with that. I used to belong to the Rotary Fellowship of Sailing Rotarians. They have musical playing Rotarians. They have quilting Rotarians. They have stamp collecting Rotarians, Rotarian action groups. They've got a lot of those. The one here on the right-hand side is against slavery. They've got the Whiskey Dram Fellowship. That was interesting. I didn't go by there, but mainly because I didn't hear about any free samples. They did give ice cream away right here at the Peace Park. They were giving away Ben & Cherry's ice cream, and the line was a mile long. I thought if I wanted Ben & Jerry's, I'd just pay $5 at the supermarket, which was across the street from my hotel. Peace is a big deal in Rotary. There were a number of organizations and efforts working on peace in various parts of Rotary. It was very interesting. Sustainability, health, almost anything you can think of was there. Now, this is a picture. I did a little photography while I was there. This is the Rod Laver Arena at nighttime. It's a big stadium, obviously, for tennis matches. And but I was out taking pictures, and this is the actual color of the bridge right in front of it. 30,000 people. This is the opening ceremony. They had the flags from every country that's represented in Rotary. It was really magnificent. The stadium was packed to the gills, and that was just half of the stadium. The other half I didn't take a picture of with my little iPhone, but hopefully you can see. And there's the flags were in the aisles there. It was quite a spectacular thing. The ending entertainment on the first day was from Canada, and this is a group called the Tenors, and they went from rock and roll tunes to opera songs. Really wonderful. The crowd just loved it, and it was a great presentation. I liked it so much that I went out and bought one of their albums in my iPhone. So I now have the Tenors iPhone, and I'm sharing that with my wife. Walking between the Rod Laver Arena and the convention center was almost a mile. And at nighttime, this is the hotel. You can see the Crown on not the tallest building, the second tallest building. This is the Crown Plaza Hotel. And these things every hour on the hour light up. Apparently, they have a lot of natural gas in Australia because they're burning it up. Anyway, this is one of the pictures I took because I thought that was fantastic. They really light the way as you walk down from the arena towards the convention center. Inside, I wanted to draw your attention to Shelter Box. I had heard about Shelter Box, and it's not just tents now. In fact, I went to a not a demonstration, but I went to a presentation on it. But I took a picture of the information. It only started in the year 2000 because a smaller Rotary club in the UK, in Cornwall, decided they wanted to help people that were displaced because of some horrific event. And their original goal down at the bottom was to help 8 to 10 families a year, with each box having a family-sized tent, sleeping bags, water purifying tablets, trenching tools, pots, and pans. It morphed rather quickly, and Shelter Box had to spin off into its own charity, but it's closely related to Rotary. Rotary is one of their biggest connections. But I found out in their presentation, they had about an hour of these breakout sessions. I found out that they have logistically pre-placed all of the supplies that are ready to go in 5 different countries where they have a big warehouse, and they're able to ship out immediately. So when some crisis happens, like the earthquake in Turkey a few months ago, they already had everything ready to go. And people who donated to this effort through Rotary to Shelter Box was actually doing the resupply funding rather than supplying funds for that current crisis, because it takes too long. And they reported during this meeting that getting people to the next stage, they did a study, and the longest tenancy in some kind of a shelter were the tents. If you put a family in tents, they tended to stay longer than if you just had a tarp for a shelter or a tin roof on a previous building that had lost the roof and anything. So they do a number of different shelter kind of activities, but the one where people stay the longest is the tent. And their goal is to get them to more stable housing rather than just tents. And there's always a family to fill in the tent when people leave, but the other devices that are using allow for a quicker turnover and moving to more stable housing. So I thought that was very interesting. In the Caribbean, the guy from the Caribbean, the Rotary District there that's in charge of the disaster thing, every club in the district has a disaster plan. They know where all the supplies are located. It includes Miami, which is where the airport and the warehouse is. And so since 2012, they have been ready for anything in the Caribbean area that's a part of that Rotary District. I was really impressed seeing how far they came from the year 2000 to 2012. There was a big breakfast I went to. This is the zone 26 and 27, the West Coast zone, the same zones that you go to Pets for. They had this huge breakfast. Number of the dignitaries showed up and then left because everybody else is having these big breakfasts. But where did they have it? In the world's largest cricket stadium. It seats 100,000 people. This is the Melbourne Cricket Club. And I had a video on it, but it's not going to play. I did do a number of tours both before and after. My before ones, I went on the Great Ocean Road, included a rainforest visit to the second tallest trees in the world. I also went south to Phillip Island to see the little penguins that are about 1 feet tall. They have blue wings, not black wings. And they come up every night out of the water in groups and go up the hill to their nest. And the night we were there, there's 5,000 people watching them on elevated sidewalks, and they just go by you. And they don't let people photograph or take pictures because if you use flash, it scares them. They go back in the ocean and they die of starvation. So, and there were still, I don't want to be racist, but there were some continents where people just didn't pay attention to the instructions. And I felt very upset watching them take pictures, and a few of them had flashes, and they warned you 10 times on the ticket, a loudspeaker. They walked through the audience and told people to put down their phones because everybody's using their phone as a camera. It was really upsetting to me personally, but the penguins were cute as they walked by. They were just right by your feet as they walked by. My ending tour was to take a street art tour in Melbourne in the alleyways. The guy here pointing, he was the tour guide. He'd been a street artist for 20 years. He kind of knew everybody in the scene. Talked about graffiti, which is an activity to destroy art. The rest of it, though, has meaning. Sometimes it lasts a week or even a lifetime. This was an interesting one. You know, the spray cans, somebody just put all the spray cans together, and that became part of the art. And you can see those fixtures on the wall there. There's all sorts of things. It was really fascinating and made me think differently about the wall art that I see in Las Vegas. I'm going to do some more photographing of street art in Las Vegas. It got me really interested. This was the most unusual thing. Does that object look like she's floating?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not, if you look at it from one angle, and I tried to get it the best I could with my camera, that was a fantastic piece of art. This is my best photograph from the whole, you know, I'm an amateur photographer. I actually hired a photographer to help me with nighttime shooting because I didn't have a lot of experience. This is my best photograph of the train station that I was using. And this is the Flinders, Flinders, Flinders station, multicolored at night, has nothing to do with any political persuasion because I know it's Pride Month, but it was just beautiful colored train station. And that's my last, see, it's not too boring. That's my last slide to show. Now
I can always do mine.
Okay.
No. But it was a wonderful convention. And Jim had all these things lined up. And I want to know, Jim, so you did not do a host club event?
No, I waited to sign up and then I was too late.
Okay. And you showed up for a few minutes at our district social, which was held at
it was more than a few minutes. I was on hole number 5 talking to a
I missed you then.
physician who is an oncologist working on cervical cancer, and he's been going to a number of countries at the behest of Rotary, and you saw the announcement that Egypt is going to have a cervical
Mhm.
cancer project. He's a part of that too. So I was sort of just talking to him and talking to everybody who went by. So if you played golf, I was on a wooden bench on hole number 5.
Oh, well, I missed it. But it
And
was called Holy
they
Moly.
brought pizza and drinks to us. So there was no
Yeah,
reason for me to leave.
that's right. They did. There was a really nice social, and Aussies. They had good pizza. It was really good pizza at uh, this funky kind of miniature golf place, and each hole was themed to sort of retro kind of stuff. And one of the holes I didn't get what it was, and my daughter, who's younger than me, obviously goes, "Oh, it's the Ring, Mom. It's the Ring." And so I don't know if any of you guys know what the Ring is, but it's a horror movie apparently. And I was like, "This is a really weird one." And all the things in it were related to the movie. But I did get the what's our movie with the little uh uh um the groundhogs and stuff in the movie, not the Groundhog Day, but the golf groundhog one.
Caddyshack.
Caddyshack. Yeah, there was a
Caddyshack.
Caddyshack hole, and there was, all those kinds of fun things. And then Cheryl and I we signed up for a host club event. And that one, they just assign you to bus number such and such. And the email about it told you to dress warm. Well, told you what to expect, dress warm and bring an umbrella kind of thing. But you don't know where you're going. And the Diamond Creek Club of Rotary Club of, well, they're not Auburn or Melbourne. So they're outside, and we drove an hour. I haven't gone on my map yet to figure out which direction because it was in the dark. And they hosted us for a meal, and the district governor came and spoke to us, and it was a bunch of fun. And what was really interesting, though, was the dinner they hosted us with was they were showing off their project. And Melbourne had there were a couple, the tram was free in the city center. So the trams are free. So it was really easy city to get around. And it's a very young city because, of course, Australia is a very young country. And Melbourne is almost all new buildings. I mean, the Parliament building is the oldest building, but that's not very old. And so the old trolleys that used to go around, there's still a couple that does a city loop, the center loop, but they retired them, and then they set them up for groups to get grants for, and if they to be awarded the trolley if they had a good project for it. And so Diamond Creek Rotary Club put together a proposal and was awarded the trolley, and they partnered with several other, plus Rotary, to get grant money, and they moved it into the center of their little town, and it's up on a hill. And it was like county government got money to build a park around it that has wonderful play structures, and it's biking and hiking. But the trolley, they turned into a cafe that is coffee and food. And then it is run by the local special needs adults, that there's a program in the thing. And they have a barista that schedules and trains them. But this trolley provides employment for these special needs kids, and it's a place of refreshment and so forth. And it was really cool. So it was really something neat to see. And we had fun. They sang, and they had a karaoke local choir that came, and they sang old Rotary songs and old Aussie songs, and it was a lot of fun. So that was one of our evening things that we did. And I encourage, if any of you have not been, to go. This is my first, and the one after, let's see, Singapore next year, and then the next one's Calgary. So it's not as long of a flight.
And I got my wife to commit that we're going to Calgary, because since I'm going to be president-elect next year, the following year I'll be president, and I'll be going to Calgary in June as the ending my career the second time. But we lived in Great Falls, Montana for 3 years. So we've been to Canada, but we never made it to Calgary. So as I recall, it's a cowboy town. That's all I
Yep.
remember
Yep.
about
The Stampede is there every year.
Yep, the Calgary Stampede.
it. Yeah, that's all I know. Anyway, it's my second convention. I went the first time in 1990 to Mexico City, and that's when I realized how big and how impactful Rotary is. I was talking to another Rotarian the other day, though, who's not involved in Rotary, but scouting. You know how many scouts there are worldwide? Because Rotary's up to about 1.4 million now. You know how many Boy Scouts, because that includes girls now, but scouting, you know how many scouts there are in the world? 52 million. Out there, many of them doing good deeds too. So he's big into scouting, you know.
Definitely a potential segue into Rotary.
It would be nice, or Interact to begin with, then Rotaract. The Interact and Rotaractors were very active there, especially the Rotaractors. RILA people were big. There were people wearing RILA stuff all over. I don't know. Those tents that I showed you, I think there were around 800 of those things. And where I met Nora the first day in the Peace Park, and the third day is they had free ice cream, but the line was a mile long. I don't do lines too well, given my military background. Don't want to
So
stand.
Jim, did you find any interesting projects that people were looking for help
Most
with?
most of them were bigger projects.
Mhm.
I'm thinking it's easy enough to go on the Rotary.org website and find those things easier, where people put them up. There's a whole section there. But I'm thinking, can we do something with Shelter Box? Because it's an easy program to explain to other people as we're fundraising. And because the logistics are so good now, my understanding since I went to the breakout session, that's the one that I'm thinking that we could do something on.
The other thing that you could do is, and I think I picked up a card or a flyer on it. So when I go through my stuff, if I find it, I'll zap it to you, Linda. Is you can use a district grant to go to a project fair, and there's 2 coming up, and one's in Columbia. I'm trying to remember where the other one was. So the project fairs are Rotary clubs in all that continent or country come together and have their projects trying to find people to help with matching. So and a district grant can be used to fund you or someone in your club to go to a project fair, which I thought was kind of a cool idea too.
Right. Better than, because there weren't, first of all, it cost money to put up a tent, and there were a lot of fellowships, a lot of big programs, water companies that supported the water projects and stuff. It wasn't the EClub of 5690, or, I mean, there were not individual things. I did come across the EClub #1. And I've got the contact information for that person. I sent him an email because I thought partnering up with another virtual Rotary club would be a really good idea. So they have a number of projects going on. I took a couple of pictures of the projects. I have them here on my phone, but there was just no time to get into detail with them. But they were very open to doing something with us, and they like the idea of partnering with another EClub. So
I did look up their website and look through their stuff after we talked. But when I went to Atlanta, I think I spent most of my time talking with all the Rotary action groups, and I joined, I don't know how many.
it's unbelievable how many action groups they have.
I know it is, and it's like you know, I kind of want to be a member of all of them, but you just can't.
You can't,
But-
but they did do a lot of things. Cheryl and I attended 2 different things that were sponsored by Rotary Action, the environmental Rotary Action Group. And one of them in Melbourne was at the Queen Victoria Botanical Garden, and we went to the herbarium, and it was behind the scenes thing they were doing there, and it was fascinating. It was seed research, and she's got all these doctoral students working with her and so forth, and they are trying to and learning about, because they're learning how to store them properly and keep them viable and then use them for all the native plants in Australia that are, for various reasons, whether it's human or fire or whatever, at risk of losing their native habitat. So they're going and doing the seed collection and studying them and so forth. And it was just fascinating, behind the scenes kind of thing. And then what was the other one we did with them? There was that one. Oh, and then we went and saw the bats, the flying foxes, which also are at risk there, the big fruit bats in Australia. And that was fun too.
Luna.
Yeah.
Lots of opportunities. Hey,
Yeah.
I would like to hijack the meeting if I could.
Okay.
And you know, whether they call it a step down, a demotion, or whatever, we're giving you the boot, Jim. So
Oh, thank you.
let me recap your year a little bit while we give you the boot. We all know Jim likes to live in Las Vegas. There are no deer and antelope playing there, but there are jackrabbits playing there. He also has a shovel over his fireplace. Well, maybe it's in his garage actually, but he really enjoys the fact that there's no snow there. And
Yes.
as we all know, he's a photographer, and we've seen some of his bird adventures. So, Jim, are you familiar with this?
Yes.
It is
Duck.
it's a duck. Well, it's a decoy. So
Decoy.
hopefully you're not
Oh.
taking a bunch
It's a
of
decoy of a
pictures
duck.
of
I'm sorry.
birds. We hope you're getting in on the real thing every now and then, and not just a bunch of
That
decoys.
looks like a pelican to me.
But that's our president and some of the things he does, and a few birds in peace there while you're at it, you know, a
Thank
couple
you.
extras. But we want to go into a couple of the things that you've helped change in our club this year. And one of them is at least once a month, a face-to-face meeting. Here we are. This is one of them. This is a new change that Jim has instituted. He also instituted the fun meeting and roped Randy into coming up with the topics and ramrodding that. So that's another nice thing that you've done with us. You've also set up access for YouTube, so we can see these a lot easier now than what we had before with the Zoom meetings and people just really not going there. You've added a new member this year, Sheila. I'm surprised she's not here today, but hey, another
She's
new
in
member.
Italy and it's 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, that's what I used to tell my kids too. He spearheaded our launch for the Rotaract bicycle support.
Oh, yeah.
And he also got them to add a lock to the bicycle price up to $125. And I think we donated yours and one more on top of that. So we did pretty well there. We got the panels for the FFA project in Wyoming. He walked in Italy to help end polio now and raised over $10,000 in pledges, which actually comes out to over $30,000 in pledges when you add all the matching funds that we have there. So that was quite the deal. His goals in the goal center, he shows that he hit 9 of the 12. I think he actually hit 10, but you know how the goal center is, that Rotary thing. You got to go with what they say. Some of the notable ones is Rotary Action Group participation. Linda, a lot more there. I'm in one of those. The funds, the annual funds contributions, we had a goal of $1,000. We're currently at $1,200 as of the 10th of June. Polio Plus, we had a goal of 500. And as of the 10th of June, we're at $1,120. Social activities, big boon there. Knocked that one out of the park. We had a goal of 2, and we've had 1 every month. So that's some of the goals that you've hit along the way. That's allowed us to be the Club of Excellence for the district in the small club category, which is really a great opportunity there for us. Good deal. So with that being said, thanks a bunch from us bananas out here.
Okay.
And when we meet in Tonopah, I will be giving you your plaque.
Oh, look at that. That's
Something
nice.
to remember us bananas by.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to hijack the meeting for a moment and let you off the hook because, like you say, there are some clubs. This could be the entire meeting of giving you the boot, stepping down, demoting, moving on to another aspect of your Rotary career. So with that, I will turn it back over to the club.
Well, thank you, Bob. That is really nice of you to do that. Thanks a bunch. I'll remember that and make Carol watch the whole video here. The Rotary is all about fellowship, and the other 3 of you, thank you, have been such loyal supporters this year. I appreciate it because in Rotary, you can't do everything. It's a team sport, and it takes all of us playing the game. There's a couple of prospects floating around, Linda. I think by the time they make up their mind and we can land them, we can have 2 more members. I am certainly willing to be the membership chair next year because
Excellent.
my goal was 10, and I've got Randy, Yuri, and Sheila, and I want 7 more before I give up the membership chair. So I'll be membership chair. I know you know how hard it is to get volunteers until I have been assisting and we've gotten 7 more members because we're losing some members now for various reasons. And it's hard because the interaction, the fellowship is so difficult in a virtual club. And whatever we do that we can make it better. The foundation dinner was the first time we got together, and I had already met Kat and Bob, and so they were the only ones that showed up. And it's kind of sad in a way that we have almost 20 members, and I haven't met many of them. You know, it's sad. Now I've met Randy, I've met Yuri, I've met Sheila and Bob and Linda and Kat. So at least I've expanded beyond not meeting anybody, because when I started, I didn't know anybody. So there you go. Anyway, thank you again, everybody. I appreciate the year, the support. And at this point, I'm going to gavel the meeting closed and stop the recording.